Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. In this episode, we're going to be talking about why men need a purpose and how it can be used to stay the course and become unshakable in your power. That's coming up next. Welcome back, everyone, to yet another episode of the Wizard Factory podcast, where together we explore the universe through ourselves. My name is Logan Hart.
And I'm Brian Easterday.
And it has been a while, YouTube, and it feels good to be back. It feels good to be making some more content. Brian and I have been undergoing quite a lot of changes and challenges and accomplishments, of course, running the full spectrum of those experiences. But we're still here and we're still showing up and ready to do the work as much as we can. Brian, you want to share anything about what you've been up to?
Oh, it's definitely been a very crazy kind of like the whole last year, really. There's been a lot of different changes and things. I just recently finished moving, so that includes like I'm in the process of remodeling a house and extending onto it and getting a farm up and running again. So it's a lot of work, but there's I'm very excited to do that because I've been wanting to kind of get back to developing my land for a few years now. So and then just dealing with some health issues and things like that. But I'm very excited to be back and creating more content and get some more stuff out there because it definitely has been a while, and I know we're both definitely very excited to cover what we're talking about today for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into that a little bit. But first, before we do, if you're new here and you're not a subscriber, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join us. Remember the tribe and bring it back if you're interested in foundational spiritual knowledge and philosophy, and more importantly, solutions and how to apply that knowledge. That's where your empowerment comes from. So give the video a like as well. We really appreciate that, and it boosts the video's performance and algorithms. It lets YouTube know that you do, in fact, appreciate our content and get value from it. And so we really appreciate that. So, Brian, we're getting into a pretty good topic here that we've been chatting a lot about in personal conversations. Mm-hmm. As I guess you could say that tends to be the way it goes in our creative process, is that we usually hit on the topics that are kind of closest to home in regards to our own personal experiences. And in today's concept, in context to what we're talking about here, we can humbly say that we are two men who certainly have a deep grasp and connection to our own purpose and are walking it, in fact and indeed. So I guess it's safe to say we have at least a little bit of grounds and merit to speak on the topic. So the title of this episode is, Stay the Course, Why Men Need a Purpose. And I guess right off the bat, I can just say that, of course, this applies to both sexes, both genders, however you want to term that. And this is, of course, universal human knowledge, but there are differences between men and women. And I definitely think that having that very strong sense of purpose is a bit more relevant to being a man, in my opinion. So to actually go into that, let's actually use kind of this example. Like, let's use our imaginations for a second. Brian, if you would describe this sort of archetypal male figure that we were joking about earlier.
Sure. Yeah. So this is, kind of an archetype that, I'm sure probably a lot of you out there know someone like this, but it's the, and I'll use quotations there, the man who is probably like, say, in his, later 20s or early 30s, and he's like still living at home with his parents. And he's just in the basement and just drinking all the time and playing video games, and it doesn't really do anything in life. He doesn't have a reason or a why or a purpose. So he's kind of just lost and floating there. But you'll see with these men that they tend to be very immature. Like they're especially their like emotional maturity level will still kind of be at the level it was whenever they started drinking. Or they kind of still act like children. They expect their parents to take care of everything for them. Like they just don't have they don't have a drive of like trying to go after finding a nice woman, or starting a career that they're actually where they're creating something. There's just nothing there. They're just kind of existing through life. And you see that men that get into this cycle, they kind of stay stuck in this feedback loop, and whether they're like alcoholics, or they're just smoking a lot of pot, or like whatever it may be, they get themselves stuck in this cycle of just being stagnant, of not growing, not challenging themselves. And if you ask them like what they really want to do in life or what makes them passionate, they don't have an answer. It's just about that kind of getting through day by day, entertaining themselves or distracting themselves somehow, which is all a really distraction from that wound that they have as a man, which is not having that purpose. Because somewhere deep down, every man knows that he's supposed to have a purpose. He's supposed to have a goal. And I speaking for myself as a man, and I'm sure this is something Logan, you and others that you listening can relate to. When you don't have that purpose, or you don't have something that lights up your soul, you do feel very lost. It's like you're kind of just going through the motions of life, and there's no real focus or direction behind your path that you're traveling.
Right. I definitely see a very strong link between this concept of purpose and knowing your purpose and the maturity spectrum, essentially, because
Sure.
think about it. You can kind of think of the stereotypical idea of what it is to be a parent is to keep your kids safe in the beginning. Like, of course, there's a lot more to that, but keeping your children safe is certainly a very important, aspect of parenthood. So where do we begin life? Well, in the most safest place imaginable, inside the womb. It's dark and warm. We're fed nutrients. We have everything we need in that kind of cave-like safe space, the motherly love space. And then so as you go down that pathway of life, it stands to reason that you go from that safety to not safety, to out onto your adventure and onto the path, and taking risks and getting the rewards of those risks. So of course, like knowing your purpose, that's the first step. You can't go somewhere if you don't know where you're going necessarily. But like you said, if you ask this person, they can't give you an answer. They pretty much just live for the moment, for fun. I mean, that is childlike, and in a lot of ways we want to keep some of those qualities, but to live your entire life like that shows a sign of emotional and mental immaturity, that you just want to play, video games and eat pizza and smoke weed and just live in the safety of your parents' basement, because why go out when you have everything you need right there? Exactly. But that is not the warrior mindset, and your life is not going to have any purpose or meaning in it inherently, objectively, aside from what you assign to it personally.
Right.
And oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, as I say, and it's very, I think unfortunate, and I know, like as a man, this is something that irks me, or honestly just pisses me off, to be honest, is that there are so many men that what I would term kind of like as disempowered men or weak men, when that because they don't have that purpose or like that passion for life, that they're willing to just go along with whatever the system says, whether it's wear your muzzle, or whatever agenda it is at the time. Throughout history, it's always been, there's been like weak men are some of the most dangerous men, because they will just go along with whatever. And men that tend to not have a purpose are very easily swayed. if you're not exercising like your own free will or your mental capacity to have a goal or a focus in life, and your mind is kind of just there in the moment, it makes it very easy for other people to then direct you of where you need to go, and then you fit their agenda versus writing your own story and trying to achieve what you want to achieve.
I believe that having that purpose, well, and knowing what it is and actually going after that, it really ties in directly to what makes and drives a man fundamentally. He wants to provide, he wants to, protect, he wants to contribute, he wants to build, things like that. And when you find your purpose, it's going to contain all of those things. It's like that's what's going to activate you, and you're going to begin your pathway to mastery, and you're going to have to get all the skills required to get to that destination and everything.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I agree with totally. Is that when you really understand how the masculine think, how men think, it's having a purpose and being able to provide, especially like say when you step into the role of getting into a relationship or being a father, like your main focus really as a man, or how you feel you fulfill your role, how you express your love, is by being able to provide for things, to be a protector, and having a purpose, or a way that you go through fulfilling that purpose of needing, to be that protector and everything, is very important. So when we see that for men, how we express ourselves, or how we what really makes us feel like we're being a successful man, for lack of a better term, is our ability to be able to provide and protect and things like that. And our purpose is inherently tied to that. That's why you see those men that are kind of stuck in that archetypal, that stereotype that we were talking about, just being stuck in their parents' basement stuff. You'll see that they generally, they're not in a relationship, or they don't have kids, or if they do have kids, they're not taking care of them, or whatever it may be, that they're not really actually stepping into that role as a man of being a provider and a protector, because they don't have that purpose. So they're kind of just lost. They haven't really found that drive or that passion that actually makes life worth living.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you absolutely have to start to get to know yourself in order to ever figure out what that purpose might be.
Absolutely.
Actually, yeah, it's important to note too that when it comes to, well, actually really anything, but so let's take it in this context, that there's always like an objective and a subjective aspect to things. So when we say purpose, there's actually two kind of layers to that. There's a universal purpose, which we all have, which is to grow and evolve our own consciousness through aligning our will and our actions with natural law, and learning the secrets of the universe, and using those to create a reality of voluntary benefit, essentially, as we all level up and ascend. But then, of course, each individual person, each individuated version of this all consciousness gets to have its own individual path or way that it achieves that universal purpose. Again, it's like each instrument playing in the symphony of it all becomes this one thing where it all, is greater than the sum of its parts, but it wouldn't have that depth, that power, that complexity without a brass section and a string section and, all those different ways of producing the sound, of singing the song. That's extremely important, is the one and the all is contained within each other, correspondence. So you have to understand that universal purpose. And of course, to ever hope to discover that individual or personal purpose, you first have to understand who we all are and why we're actually here and what we're supposed to be doing. It's the purpose that you don't really get to debate, essentially. So it's worth noting that it's absolutely antithetical to a nihilistic viewpoint or a materialistic viewpoint that we're all just lucky mud that just happened to win the chemical lottery and spawn single cell organisms that just happen to have these emergent properties, and it's all just the universe is just this big mechanical clock just ticking and grinding away with no real substance or soul to it. Of course, that's literally just half the truth. It's not untrue, but it's a very short-sighted perspective. Anyway, the purpose of what I'm saying is that you cannot have that viewpoint and hope to have any purpose for yourself, because I mean, sure, you can project your own personal ideas of meaning to your life, but without that fundamental knowledge of objective truth, it's kind of just a shot in the dark, really. Like, you have to have that as your grounding anchor, the trivium. It has to be built on those fundamentals.
Right. I really like that you brought up the kind of the two sides of it, of that objective of, yeah, we do all share the same purpose of expanding consciousness and awareness and all, but the way we go about getting to do that is very individualistic. You know, it comes up to us. It's that you know, everything is the same, just in a different way.
Right. It's called paganism.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, when you can see both of these, you know, at the same time, you like you said, you have that strong foundation to build off of, and then you can understand that you can accomplish both of those things at the same time through living your purpose. In fact, like I think fulfilling a true purpose, a true soul desire, and or log, you know, whatever you want to call it, will by default not only raise, you know, your awareness and benefit you, but benefit those around you. You know, especially as a man, like one of the things, you know, if you look at within astrology, we have, like, you know, the archetype of Jupiter, right? And I'll hit on this a little bit more later too, but you know, Jupiter is that protector, that wisdom, that expansion. You know, so you want to see, like, as a man, you want to be a person that provides those things, that embodies that archetype. You know, and your purpose will actually, by, you know, I think by default, like, really have those qualities, not only like for your own life, but for those around you, your family, your friends, whoever you're kind of interacting with in your world. That abundance and that wisdom and those things will also be, you know, expanded to them as well, when you really, you know, you are a man, that you have that purpose and that drive, and you understand that, you know, part of your purpose, like as a soul, is to help others as well.
Absolutely.
So then, you know, it naturally makes you want to then expand that wisdom and that protection and that abundance and all those type of Jupiterian qualities out to others as well.
Yes. Also, that very cooperative Aquarian spirit as well, with going out, networking. I mean, it's like all these words are really just pointers, so you can kind of almost use them interchangeably, playfully. Like, even say, as everything is a business transaction, then of course let's just put the business slant on it, that, like, no matter what you're doing, right, your purpose is going to be an enterprise, that you're going to have to go out, you're going to have to sell an idea or something. You're going to have to sell, you're going to have to connect with other people. You can't do it all by yourself. You're going to have to build a team and other people that share your vision. You know what I mean? And so at the least, maybe there's some people that are better at just hearing the idea and going, yeah, I want to align myself with that. And that can be your purpose. You don't have to be like a leader necessarily to have a purpose or to have value. But of course, you know, there's much more empowerment when you kind of become proactive as a creator of a business rather than a follower, or like a leader versus a follower. You know, let's be real. There's more perks to one. But not everyone's cut from the same cloth, and I'm not necessarily saying that, you know, it's less like your purpose is inferior if you're a better follower per se. And you can certainly see that having a purpose, again, especially for a man, because think about this energy, it's unshakable. When you know who the fuck you are so deeply that it doesn't matter who says what to you or what happens to you or anything, nothing is going to shake that from you because you fucking earned that yourself. It's not a belief, it's a knowing. There's no fake it till you make it when it comes to that.
Mhm.
It makes a man unshakable, that grounded, strong, like you were saying, Brian. I love the idea of actually, so we know that shapes like a square is masculine and the circle is
Yes.
feminine, but when you said a ball and block, that kind of put this new idea, because then you're talking
Yeah.
about 3 dimensions where a ball is going to roll around, but you try
Mhm.
to blow on a block, it's stuck. It doesn't want to roll around. It wants to be very strong and tethered to what it is. And that's not a bad thing if you value it for what it is. And that's one thing I think a lot of people are missing when it comes to the gender debate or whatever it is that it's all just the same, right? Like men can be women and women can be men, and it's all just different expressions. But it's like, yeah, dude, if you want a house, okay, you want the foundation to be strong, but you want your bed to be soft. That's the value of having both. You don't want hard, rigid carpet and, like curtains and pillowcases and all of that, because that's not useful in that. It's about where it's applied. And so again, everyone should have a purpose, but that driven linear, thrusting motion, that is masculine. So of course a man is going to be much more connected to that dynamic. That's how I'm looking at it there.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and that the square and the ball thing, that actually comes from some ancient Vedic text. When it's describing like Chandra, the moon, which is a feminine planet. It's a ball, rolls around. So, and that's how the feminine energy is, and that's where their gift and their strength is their ability to roll around and to be flexible and those type of things. And where the masculine, their gift is to be that square. And like how an example of how that would play out in a relationship is, you know uh, say there's a couple and then they're going through some life situation, and then the wife, she does what wives maybe sometimes do, which is start worrying, right? They get a little anxiety, they start worrying about things and asking questions, and it's that roller ball, right? That emotion's going, well, what if this happens, and what if this happens, or what if these people think this, or like they start. That's
Right.
what
It's more
the ladies,
prone to
they tend to
external
do.
influence.
It's and things like that. It can be pushed and swayed around. Whereas the square, where that the man can step in there with the logic, like, well, if we think about this, maybe that's actually not something we really need to worry about. Maybe we're just, worrying ourselves for no reason. And it's more of that square, that firm, that stable energy.
Totally.
And a woman who is empowered will actually really admire
And
that
value
ability
that.
in the man, because what she sees is that is strength in an area where she's a little bit weak. Just like the man on the flip side of that, in a healthy way, will admire her ability to be more mobile, to flex on things, to be a little bit more compassionate, or to be able to look at everybody's different perspectives, or the gifts that women have. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I use that metaphor a lot whenever I'm giving like relationship consultations and things like that, because when you really understand the essence of that, this a square and a ball, it'll really help you understand a lot about the masculine and the feminine, and how those work together. And I think to really understand the masculine in its fullness, you also have to understand like the feminine. We're talking about why men need a purpose. Well, what is your purpose other than it's your why? It's your care. It's the feminine energy that is the generative force, that as a man, like you tapping into the feminine energy of that care
That's your
there's something
power.
I care about so much. That's where your power comes from. And then you use the masculine energy to focus and take action on that care.
Yes. Yeah, that's really good. And that external influence can come from anywhere. You're going to have people in your life, people that are obvious enemies, people that are say that you're friends or your lovers or whatever, and that, are in some way shaking you from your path for whatever reason. It can be personal, or it can be, of course, from the man himself. He's, the king of it, trying to fucks with people and, push them around and whatever. And that's the thing, is especially when your purpose is tied to freedom, which is really one of the highest efforts of man to achieve freedom. That's what you were saying, of that freedom he can experience through the feminine. It's the ultimate end zone of the touchdown, of the entire playing field that we're aiming for, especially as men, is that freedom, that release, like we feel an orgasm, where you've gotten the prize, everything is good, and then now there's nothing left but just to enjoy it and to go, like, literally go soft, like into the feminine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and talk
No,
about your
that makes
feelings and
sense.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Cry probably. But no, all I'm saying is, it's important to a man who knows that we're in spiritual warfare to wake the fuck up and figure out what you need to be doing. That we don't, you have a short time here on earth. What we do matters a lot. Every person has great power and great influence to change the world. And we need to be realizing that. And it makes you more resilient to the system and all of the extraordinary orchestrated effort that's being done right now every day to keep you down and to fuck you up and to get you distracted or whatever have you. So essentially, as soon as you set foot on that path, you're going to have enemies, because there's others that will see that as a threat and try to deter you, whether you know them or it's a mass, power or energy harvesting ritual. So, as they say, when people show you who they are, believe them. Pay attention to how people change or how people react when you start taking your power and start doing things. That's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very telling, and the people who react poorly, those are the people that you don't really like want in your life. Because a person that is a beneficial person to have in your life, they're going to, if you put up a boundary or something, they're going to understand that, and they'll work with it. So, but I like that you hit on uh, men that have a purpose really not being able to be shaken from their path so much, or constantly lost in distractions. Like, let's even look at the war on masculinity that we can see here, where there's, masculinity is very much being attacked by the control system for a very good reason. That men that are empowered won't put up with the shit. That they'll stand up and they'll say no, and like, because they're men that have a purpose, and they say, like, they value their freedom, they understand cosmic law, and they're not just going to allow things to happen without them using their voice and doing something to stop it. And that's the last thing they want, because they know an emasculated man is a man that can't actually create any change at all. And the purpose is a man who is from the very start going out to seek to create change, and it's a change that isn't in alignment with their agenda, and they don't want that. Another thing that we can get into here is that when you have that purpose, it's like, say you're wanting to go on a road trip, right? Your purpose is like your destination that you want to get to. I want to travel to this place. When you're traveling, you are then consciously traveling. You're going to cover more ground. You're going to achieve a lot more things because you have that specific focused goal in mind. Whereas if you're just kind of like said wandering around aimlessly, or I think earlier I jokingly said you're doing donuts in the parking lot of a Dollar General. Like you're not going anywhere in life. You're just kind of stuck there. That's that archetype of that man that we spoke about earlier. That's what I kind of thought of, like of that man, like when like
Right.
where's his purpose in life? Like where is he
He's got a
going if
bunch
he
of
was
whippets
traveling? And
first.
I just imagined like, yeah, that's perfect.
Right.
Yeah, that's perfect. Or he's just
Canned
plugged
air. He
up
just
in a
huffs a
Dollar
bunch
General
of canned
parking lot,
air and then starts doing donuts right there.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere in life. Yeah, there's no purpose to that. So and
just burning
funny
rubber,
to think
man.
about like that.
You're just
But
burning rubber.
when you see there, when it summarizes, when it really comes down to it, is the difference between living life in a conscious and aware way, or just unconsciously going through all the motions. And there's a big difference. And a life that brings awareness to it, like, is a life that you'll actually be able to exercise your free will more, because awareness creates choice. So if you like, so when we start seeing this, purpose and choice and awareness, these all start showing that like it really is the process of a man learning to take his magic back and his creative ability and those type of things, which we'll hit on that more here in a minute. But you can see a direct correlation between all of these different things, that having a purpose and being able to tap into your creative ability and actually create change in the world that you want to see, these things are inherently tied together.
Yes. Hey, if you're enjoying this content, give us a like, and we really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm loving this, man. I like what you said about he's taking his creative ability and magic back, or like you said earlier, he's writing his own story. And that's something we talk a lot about on this channel for sure, is being proactive rather than reactive. That is essential to having an empowered mindset. Is you are making the decisions. You are looking ahead and essentially kind of predicting the future. Because the better you get at natural law, that's kind of what you're doing, is if this, then this. So if you know the variables and then you can control the variables, the if, then the then is just natural law playing out as it always will, because it's 100% consistent. The only thing inconsistent is the variables that you didn't foresee, really, the curveball.
Sure.
So writing his own story, that's a very proactive thing, and again, that's why we do promote leadership. If you're just a follower, that's okay, and there's value in that. But be a leader if you have a leader inside you. And I do believe, honestly, that everyone has a leader inside of them, but not everyone has the courage to activate that leader. And you can still play a role and a purpose as a follower, and that's okay. And that still does take courage too, especially if you're, on the right side of truth these days. So, that speaks for itself.
Sure.
But, you want to have a plan, but then don't get so hung up on planning that you never actually leave. Because in life, nobody's ever going to know exactly where they're going right out of the gate. You do actually have to start driving first, see a few sights, like say you're driving and then you're seeing a lot of trees and you're like, this is kind of nice. But now seeing these trees, I'm actually realizing I was wanting something more arid. So maybe I head west towards Arizona. And then that's the next leg of your journey, because you got started and then that was your process along the way. And then once you get to Arizona, you're like, it's too hot here. And so you go north and you find somewhere colder. And then you all along the way that's going to lead you to where you end up. It's not that you know where you're going to end up, but if you never even ask where you're going, you're literally burning gas. Think about that for a second. Like you're just driving around wasting fuel, and then you're going to have to pay for it twofold, because you're probably going to run out of gas, and then you really feel it once you get back to the pump and you have to refill, because then you're getting charged again to replenish the wasted fuel. and you're still not even where you're trying to get to. So
Right. I like that you put out there's, there's like a difference between planning and starting. Like, because once you actually start, like I said, to continue with the metaphor of being on a journey, you might, encounter something, or you might be, say you're driving down this highway and all of a sudden there's like, there's maybe a major bridge out or something. So it forces you to go a different, to turn around and go a different route.
right.
So you never know what you're actually going to encounter on the journey, and the ability to be able to pivot and shift and reframe your mindset along the journey is a place where you actually develop a lot of very useful skills that help you achieve your purpose in the long run. So, even if you don't know your specific purpose or soul desire or anything, that's okay, as long as you still have that drive. Oh, I want to accomplish something. I'm learning something. Even if I'm going after this thing, and I know it's not going to be like a lifetime long career, but it's something I want to do and I want to achieve and I want to learn the skill set. So I'm going to spend this time to do that. Those are all important steps in the journey. Like for me, like my soul desire, my passion of astrology. That's something I didn't even discover Vedic astrology until I was like towards, I think I was like 26 or something like that when I first came across Vedic astrology. So up until that point, I'd never even heard of it. I was totally ignorant of it. So how could I know that was really my passion? Because I hadn't even discovered it yet. But I wouldn't have discovered that had I not already kind of like been on my journey of like, oh, I want to discover myself. I want to learn these things, and I'm going down these rabbit holes of taking action on my, what my soul desire was at the time, which was to learn. So, your purpose can shift and change and be refined. But what's important is that at the very core of it, you have this fire, this passion, this driving force it's the reason that, like, even if I don't know exactly what it is I'm wanting to do, I know I want to achieve something. There's something that I'm looking for. Yeah, I'm on the quest to find it, whatever it is, but be taking action on it. Have that inner fire that is lighting up your life, and when you do that, you take action on those ways, you might go through different changes and have different experiences, but you will end up finding what it is that really, makes you happy, that really like gets you very passionate and just does it for you,
Exactly. Yeah. And I think in order to do that, though, it has to start with courage and curiosity.
Sure.
Which, I mean, you could look at that as care in a way too. That's really like the big one, but curiosity specifically, just because if you're not curious about, and what is curiosity? It's not just like being nosy. It's a genuine desire to know. That's really all it is, ooh, what's over there? It's a sensation of wonder and awe. It's not like, oh, I've never been over there and it's dark and I don't know what's it's like, a new area I haven't explored. I wonder what's down there. That's the exact opposite, but kind of like everything is the same in a different way sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, you're never going to start turning stones over to see what's underneath, externally or internally. Because again, it's really all about you. What you're doing with your purpose is you're just reaching inside yourself and digging around and feeling, and then finding something and pulling it out, and then like creating from that. And then if that's not the thing you were looking for, okay, let me go back in, and you're just like reaching in there until you find it. And then you're just like, it's a perpetual process though. It actually never stops. But I guess at this point we could kind of move into, the part about like finding your purpose. Like I said, it's going to start with that curiosity, the wonder, the question mark really is where it starts. So how do you go on a quest? You have to ask the right questions. So that question mark, that is what's going to start. And then you have to have the courage to actually go and investigate it too. You can't just go, oh, what's down there? Guess I'll never know. And then just go back to your basement and you're doomed.
And I would say you even have to have the courage to accept, to understand or accept what you find when you do ask those questions. Because it's, so many people they might ask a question and then they see the answer and then they totally reject it. Oh, I don't want to look at that. That's too terrifying. That's not, so I think it takes courage to both ask the question, but also to look at the information and
actually want the answer.
And actually want the answer as well. Yeah, there you go. That's a good way to put it.
The answer that you get too.
Yeah, and this kind of ties in with what we were talking about a minute ago, but bringing in, I think to bring in a little astrology here, as I always like to do, one of the archetypes that for a man when it comes to purpose to really look at, or an archetype, in astrology that really, I would say, represents purpose in general is Saturn. If you're thinking of your purpose and it's a lifetime, passion, it's something you're not going to give up on. It's a big goal. It's something you're going to work hard towards and be dedicated and organized and focused. Those are all Saturnian type of qualities. But Saturn is like a slow moving planet. So like we were saying before, it might take a little while to find your purpose. You might have to think that, oh, I want to go do this one thing. But when you go to that experience, that then leads you to something else that you're like, oh, well, that's actually really interesting. I want to try that now. And if you're following, the key is to follow your passion. Like that's what you're doing. Whatever lights your soul on fire, like what makes your life happy, follow that passion as it's relevant. And if it's something that you're really meant to do, you'll keep doing it and you'll never give it up. Or it will lead you and be a stepping stone on the path to finding what you really want to do. But as long as you're finding that passion, again, it's that inner fire that I was talking about. You tap into that. And even though it may take a while, just be focused, be dedicated, have that Saturnian perspective of, oh, I know this might be something that might take a long time. Or even if, say, you have a soul desire, and you're like, man, I really want to do this thing, but that's going to be so hard and difficult. And I have no clue how I'm going to achieve that or where to even start. Just start. Just take the first step. Just keep going. Stay dedicated. Stay focused. So, I think as men, working with the Saturnian archetype is so important, because as we do these type of things, as we go through life, finding our purpose and following it, we also learn about another Saturnian lesson at the same time, which is cosmic law. It's that cause and effect that you were talking about, Logan, earlier. Oh, if I do this, then this happens. It's where you're gaining that wisdom, those hard-won lessons, because you've had to sacrifice and stay focused and stay dedicated for the period of years to make, to achieve things that you want to achieve. Because anything worth doing is something that is worth taking time to do. Totally. Like taking the right time and doing it the right way. I knew you would resonate with that one.
Oh yeah. And I'm seeing how perfectly it ties into the earlier thread about the maturity spectrum, and how, because what is another vital 100% fundamental aspect of growing up is learning the value of hard work.
Yep.
and trading that for ditching the instant gratification mindset. I want something for nothing. I want it now. I don't want to have to sacrifice for it. That's really like at the real crux of becoming a man. The whole maturity in a man's perspective is understanding, like recognizing that value of that toiling in the fucking fields. And I really resonate with what you said too, because about the passion is the reason you push through it, dude. That's something that struck me as both a guitar player and a teacher for many years, is the only people that are going to stick with it is the people that really, really enjoy it. Because at first, especially at first, it's so brutal to suck so bad when you start. I mean, your fingers are literally bleeding. They hurt.
Right.
Everything sounds like crap, like your fingers are cramping up. That only sounds fun to somebody that that just enjoys playing so much that they even have fun when they're that bad at it. Or someone like you, Brian, who recognizes that, you know, it's not about, it's so much fun breaking your back out there, you know, planting trees and bushes and all that stuff. It's that you recognize the greater value in what you're building and the abundance that you're going to get to enjoy for much longer once you put in that initial sacrifice, that initial investment. And again,
absolutely,
you know where you're going, so that when you're driving, you know that gas that you're burning in your tank is going towards your destination. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, I like that you brought up the example of like planting trees, because I think that's a great example of a Saturnian type of thing. You know, like I spend a lot of time mixing compost and dirt. You know, like I'm kind of like a human dump truck where I can move a stupid amount of soil in a day, because I've spent so many years just doing that, because it's one of the things I'm passionate about. But I have a purpose of I want to improve the planet. I want to provide for my family. I want to do those things, and I'm passionate about it. So I'm willing to put in that work. But like you said, it's knowing that, oh, if I plant this tree here in a few, you know, if I establish this permaculture food forest, as the years go on, it's going to become more and more productive, you know, and you know, and establish itself more and more. Right. So I have to do less and less work. So I can see, you know, that, oh, if this is my purpose to achieve that by doing that, then it's, you know, and it's fulfilling other purposes. So it's,
so you're just doing the work so that you don't have to do the work later.
Right. Right.
I see what you're after.
Right. No, but when you think about this, like if you have a task that you have to repeat and do every single day, you're always going to have to do that every single day. If I establish a permaculture forest that is going to improve itself and grow and maintain itself more and more, what does that then allow me to do? It frees my time up to continue to go and do that. So instead of just having a permaculture forest in this part of the yard, I can then expand it to the backyard. Now I can then take it to my other 8 acres, or, you know, it's achieving something and building a system to leverage it.
You're building a pipeline instead of carrying buckets of water.
There you go. There you go. That's it. You know, and that's something that when you, I think, have a purpose, it becomes easier to think about so how do I develop this system that I can actually leverage that can help me achieve multiple purposes, like to carry on with the food forest example. You can tell I'm passionate about it. You know, it not as only is it like feeding my family, it's providing an ecosystem for like, you know, like, you know, other plants and animals and, you know, life there. It's building up the soil. As I build up the organic matter in the soil, it retains more water. So it's a beneficial thing for everything. You know, the no matter which perspective or benefit you look at it from, it's useful. So that's what getting back to the point of what I was saying like earlier, when you have a valuable purpose that you're actually achieving as a man, you'll see that it not only benefits like you, but those around you. Like I said, I would be increasing, you know, I'd be helping the earth, you know, because most of the land around me is farmed through a monoculture. They're just tearing up the soil, and we have erosion problems and all those type of things. Well, the least I can do is take the land that I own and build up the soil so I don't have those issues on my place, you know, and then try to expand and take that knowledge out from there. You know, and that is that bigger purpose. But you see that, like I said, as you really tap into your true purpose as a man, you'll find that as a result that you're not only benefiting yourself, but you're fulfilling many different things, many different purposes, all through living your soul desire, all through embodying your passion and what really lights you up.
Yeah, I mean, and you could really say that about just about anything that one could do. Is that, you know, you have to really love it. You hear that in career fields and things like that. You have to really love it. And that's just anything, because that's the Saturnian lessons embedded in anything that we can do. Like, you know, you have to really love creating content in order to put yourself through the headache of learning how to use editing software and make sure that you've got the right plugins and everything's connected correctly and that you charged your camera. And, you know, like, man, there's so much aggravation that can come with it, and definitely does. But you just, if you love it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't cancel out. You know, it's all worth it in the end. And that's really kind of the theme, especially when you're an authentic man in alignment with truth and living that kind of purpose, not a dark, you know, hollow purpose of ego, but a true, you know, a way that I like to put it is an authentic purpose of a man is built around service. Not like the slave indentured servitude, butler kind of service, but like a true service of truth, of humanity, of the earth, you know, as a knight or a warrior of truth, essentially. That's the empowered divine masculine archetype that we need to see, you know, come back with a vengeance at this time. Someone who isn't afraid to protect the truth, protect the innocent, and to say no, essentially, to have those strong boundaries and to build better systems that make the current control systems obsolete. That's the best thing even.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great thing. That ties in perfectly with what I was saying, like with the permaculture example. They're building those systems that allow us to leverage it, that it solves that Jupiterian purpose of what I was talking about earlier as a man, where you're providing a system that it's providing protection or abundance or wisdom, expansion, you know, all these different Jupiterian type of things. You'll see that, and that, you know, that can be a great purpose. You know, for example, I think there's a lot of wonderful people out there developing, you know, tools like the blockchain, Logan, you know, that you're so passionate about, you know, that I think that there's something that stuff lights some people's soul on fire. Like, I know you get so excited about it, Logan, and there's people that are, because of that passion, are then developing systems and tools that others can leverage that creates more freedom in their life. So like you were saying, that true purpose of a man, it ties back in and centers around a life of service, not just a service to yourself of this is what lights my soul on fire. This is what I'm using to develop my consciousness, but also service to others, you know, service to the earth. It is, you know, how can you as a man come into this world, and by the time you leave it better than what it was when you got here, or to where you had some kind of a positive impact on those around you. You know, that's when you find that kind of a drive as a man, that is a fire that they do not want lit. They don't want that sacred masculine to come alive like that, because that is the thing that will utterly destroy their weak, pathetic little fucking system.
Right.
And so the last thing they want to see is empowered men. And that's definitely such a big reason of why it is so damn important, especially now for us men to stand up and to find that purpose and to be taking that action towards achieving our goals and trying to improve the world around us.
Exactly. And so, I mean, you can consider this a sort of call to action, you know, if you're someone who's
Absolutely.
waiting on the sidelines, you know, and you feel like there's something more that you could be doing, there is. And the time is now to grow some balls, step up, and like you said, Brian, create a positive impact, do something. That's what we really need right now is people taking action and not just passively watching evil, because the people that are doing evil are only a small percentage. The rest is just complacency and apathy of just letting it happen. So men, step the fuck up, stand up for truth, say no when it's necessary, and women, you know, value that. Don't scorn a man for having those qualities. Support that.
Yep.
That's what we need is this, the masculine and feminine. That's really like the ultimate divide that needs reconciling more than any other demographics out there right now.
Sure. Yeah, I absolutely love that you brought that up because ladies, for just as much this is called action for men, like women understand your power. This is something that we'll do an episode just on this at some point. But you know, one of the great powers that you women have is that the ability to inspire and encourage men. A man that has a woman behind him who's encouraging him and saying like, oh yeah, I'm glad you're going after your passion. I know you can do this. Like I know that. But at the same time, she's also willing to challenge him and to hold up that mirror. That's a woman that greatly helps empower men. So women, you also have a huge amount of influence and ability to encourage men to be real men, to stand the fuck up and say no. Men that are co-signing, along and going along with the system, or being just little cowards and wearing their muzzles, or whatever it may be. If women start shunning those type of men, they're going to start thinking twice. So there's a great power there as well to be looked at. So that's going to kind of essentially summarize what we're wanting to talk about today. So absolutely, let us know what you think. Like men, what are your experience with this? Like, how have you felt as a man? Has there been a time in your life where you felt like you didn't have a purpose? Can you relate to feeling kind of lost and wandering? And then has there been a time where you have had your purpose? And what is the difference in the way you felt between those?
And if you are, put ladies, that in the comments. Let us know, what are you building? What are you working on? What's your idea?
Yeah, absolutely. Women, what's your feedback on this? Is this something that you guys can relate to, that you've seen in men out there? What would you as women like to see men stand up and do more? And see more out of. Let us know your thoughts on that. If you want to connect with us more, follow us on social media, Facebook. We're going to start incorporating some more lives, Q&A type of stuff. So there'll be some chance for some more personal interaction in there. So be sure to check us out on all our different social media platforms. Also, go to thewizardfactory.com, check out all our different services and products that we have available. We're always adding more towards it. And I know, here very soon, Logan, you have a new little addition that you'll be adding to the website that I know I'm very excited about, that you've been working really hard on, and I think is coming along great. So if you found this video valuable, be sure to, like, subscribe, share the video if it was useful, and keep an eye out for the next one. But that's going to finish this episode. So until next time, be empowered, be inspired, and be encouraged.